Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest at like 10:30 at night, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 31st of May to the 7th of June. Yeah, I gotta talk a little quieter, I think, because my roommates are probably gonna be sleeping soon. But also, not just also, that's why I have to talk quietly. But also, besides that, this is a 1 week notice that next week is the last episode of AniTube Digest. For the time being, I'm taking a little hiatus, and not because I'm bored of it or whatever. I have a summer job, and I can't do digest over that time. There's no way I can do that, especially the job I'm doing. The Mondays are very whatever, or any day really. But I did hear from the grapevine, well, they asked me. Core is, I guess, organizing some people to do digests of their own, and they'll be on their various channels and something. I'll probably post something. I'll try to like post like not like a video, but like the YouTube post feature if I can do it on this channel. I don't know. Either way, maybe follow Core. Or like I'll link it maybe in the last digest or something like that. We'll figure it out what we do there. But like there will probably be digests over the summer. I just won't be doing them. That's cool though. I'm very appreciative of Core doing that and organizing that, and everyone else who wants to do that. Kami also asked about it, and I appreciate Kami asking that too. But let's get into these videos. The first one. I don't want to bring myself to give this a not good because, like, they're a very small channel. Like, it's a new channel sort of deal. Being very transparent right there. So I'm just going to give it a decent with an asterisk. And I'm going to say that also because, I like the points that they're making. I just think the framing and the aesthetic of the video, too, it was just kind of like, for me. This is the problem with sports anime and manga from Yumesuke Sutashika, the mangaka, and talking about the couple of sports series they've consumed manga-wise, it doesn't seem that they're really talking about the animes at all. Maybe Haikyuu anime, but I couldn't tell. It was really just one or two stills representing each show that they're talking about, except for Blue Lock, where they went into a little more detail of their problems with Blue Lock. And it's interesting to hear the concerns they have with Blue Lock, and they weren't like completely biased against it, but like they were real, like it comes right out of the gate of like people who don't get. He was making the argument that like the people who are doing the he gets right into it. So his problem with sports anime manga, the big thing was the superpowers. He doesn't really like how Captain Tsubasa does the superpowers. Inazuma 11 does a lot of superpowers. And he lists his problems with Kuroko no Basket. Oh, the anime, yeah. So there's a mix of anime and manga here. It felt like mostly manga to me. I don't know, there was something about it. But that their big sticking point is the superpowers, and I'm in agreement actually. I don't like that either in sports series overall. I think ultimately I kind of prefer it when it's not that. I can understand it in some cases, and if it's executed well and it's kind of fun in that way. But I can imagine his frustration as a soccer fan or a football fan. He says like there's not a single one that I like. Like doesn't seem to have done it well, any of them well, because they're either these crazy superpowers like Captain Tsubasa, or it's like Blue Lock or I think his problem with Days is it was just boring. Like he just didn't like it. And it's like, okay, well you can't. Like, I think it was like, oh, here's my other problem. I might be misconstruing it, but he was like, my other problem was that sometimes they're just not good. Was what it seemed to be the problem. It was like, okay, like you just didn't like Days, okay, and he lists his reasons, of course. But it wasn't like as obvious a problem of like, yeah, the superpowers. And look, Slam Dunk's better for not having superpowers, etc., etc. Although you didn't have to spoil Slam Dunk, my guy. You didn't have to do the last play of the manga. Sorry. You didn't have to do that. It got me to tears. It's the best. Yeah, it's the best. Although there is context for that last play. The second to last play is also really impactful. First, there's more to it than the one you described. I feel like you could have just said what you said about Slam Dunk without spoiling that, or pick a different example, because, you know, there's a lot of great examples in Slam Dunk. I mean, not as iconic as that moment, because it's the culmination of a bunch of shit, but, like, come on. I'm just saying. And yeah, like, the presentation, it was just one still image zooming in a bunch of times, and there was more variety when it came to Blue Lock, because he was giving a bunch of, like, a lot of actual pages from that. But it seemed very limited in that way, and so it wasn't very engaging. But then also, his vocal delivery is like it's the same exact vote. It's very impressive, actually, but it just gets kind of distracting. Now I get, like, it's like, well, that's my voice. No, and I totally get that. And so you you find ways to kind of, like, there are YouTubers who have monotone voices like that like are addictive or like really iconic and interesting. But yeah, no, I couldn't get behind, like, automatically calling the people who write sports manga with superpowers, like, you're just like, they're either sellouts or hacks. I'm pretty sure those are the two. They're just blanket sellouts or hacks. And it's like, really? I don't know. I just think this is a very reductivist way of looking at it. Not very respectful to the art. And you say it, like, in the first minute or two. And then it's like, well, geez. You know, it doesn't give a good first impression to me as someone who's like, you can hate and have your criticisms all you want, but, like, respect the artist and the writer, you know, the people who made it. Give them the respect because they made something, you know? And be harsh and dunk on their shit all you want, but don't call them, I don't know, like, calling them sellouts and hacks just for choosing to do a decision that you personally don't like, but clearly a lot of other people like, if Captain Tsubasa is such a popular and successful series. You know? I don't know. That doesn't seem right to me. That's just personally. But, you know, I didn't ultimately not like this video. I thought it was interesting in that, like, I agree with the points about superpowers. I do think it's a kind of a cheap tactic, but it's not like, you know, I don't know. I think he blew it out a little out of proportion, personally. They had some other decent videos. I wanted to shout out the heyitscorinth. She re-uploaded her Lupin video, so I decided to watch all the Lupin the third movies, and it's a new thumbnail with it's something she drew herself, so you might otherwise recognize it. This is a video I referenced in my video about Lupin. It came out, her original upload came out before mine, but she decided to just re-upload this entirely, just a fresh slate kind of thing. I think she just got really overwhelmed with the attention it got and wasn't expecting this kind of following and stuff like that, so she's just like, but she's gotten a lot of requests to put it back up, and she did, and that's cool. So, you know, I linked it back into my video and stuff like that. Out of respect, it's like, well, if it's up, you know. And yeah, I mean, I didn't get a chance to really talk about this video, I guess, because it's like I wasn't aware of her when it came out, but then it was in my recommended and stuff like that. It was one of those videos that I just missed, but, like, I'm able to talk about it now technically, and it's very minimalist, but, like, I just had, like, a very kindredness to her experience, because as someone who has also seen most, if not all, of these movies, it's not all of them. She didn't see Return of Pykel, like, one of the worst ones. When, like, she's like, oh, I didn't see part 1 with the guy with Pykel who shows up episode 2, even though you also watched Elusiveness of the Fog, who also features a recurring character, you know, someone who is from part 1 as well. So it would have been kind of the same thing, but yeah, tomatoes. It's not a big deal. You know, there's a lot of them I agree with. I'm like, okay, good. You know, like, oh yeah, good. You like that one? Oh, you like that one more? And then some I'm like, come on, Like, you didn't like any of the Dazaki special TV specials? You didn't like Late Liberty Crisis? Come on. Come on. Come on. But I understand. Yeah. And, you know, it's very minimal, but, like, you can tell it is an energy to it. And also similar energy of, like, Twitter. And it was kind of similar with Marion B, where, like, Marion B's sort of humor and observations kind of seems to organically grow from Twitter, where the reaction pics and the type of humor, I guess, and the aura. Corinth is, I think, bringing that sort of aspect to these videos, and I think it's refreshing, at least as someone who's also on Twitter. You know, it's like, yeah, it's nice to see that in a video, I guess. But yeah, I do enjoy this video. It was daunting. It was very, like, you know, having it exist as I was making mine, but now that mine's, like, technically the older one, but, you know, yeah, I'm happy it's back, though. Just a quick one. Magical uploaded a compilation of the many faces of Doremi. It is volume 1, so it is only covering at least season 1, or maybe not even all of season 1. Like, I feel like 8 minutes you could have. It's like, really? That's all the faces in season 1? Like, well, maybe it's not, but it does. All of these are from season 1, basically. But yeah, it's just like it's similar to my video where, like, I feature a bunch of clips from Doremi when I start talking about her and showing all her various flaws and stuff. Only it's like 8.5 minutes of just that with subs and everything and the whole thing. Just a fun, cute thing, and yeah, I can't not talk about that. I'm sorry, I'm not having much else to say about it. It is what it is. But it's like, yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna talk about that. Hell yeah. MercuryFalcon had a fun video on the French gag dub of Fist of the North Star, the story of Ken le Survivant, or maybe, I don't know. I took French in, like, high school, but I don't know. But it was interesting, and I was actually really happy that he doesn't really, like, use this as an excuse to be like, therefore dubs are bad, or something. Like, it's fun to, like, laugh at these things. Like, it is ridiculous, and he explains the context and why they did what they did and the history behind it, as well as, like, understanding that, like, I like this observation of, like, I was going into this thinking it was going to be like the 4Kids One Piece dub, but it's more like the 4Kids dub of Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's still a hack dub. It's still very, like, poke fun, haha. And there is damage in that. And he shows, like, there is, you know, Duel Masters didn't get as popular because it had a hack dub, whatever. But this was a case where the French fans really are nostalgic and fond of it because it's just so funny and over the top. Similar to our appreciation of the Yu-Gi-Oh dub. I watched the latest Yu-Gi-Oh movie, Dark Side of Dimensions, and we insisted on watching it dubbed because that's what we were used to, you know, and it was cool seeing that. And it was just very ridiculous with Kaiba's whole thing, and it's like, you don't watch that. It's one of those situations where it's like, you don't really watch that seriously, and with the sub and faithful and things like that, you know. I can understand the argument for some other movies, maybe some prestigious whatever, but, like, you know, and not to say that the art is lesser or something like that, but it's just, what's a funny, there was a bunch of people over, right? We had just come home from dinner and we wanted to watch something communal, kind of have fun with it, and yeah, that's what we went with, you know what I mean? And things like that, I think that's kind of the utility for those kinds of dubs. I think it's for young kids who, you know, it's good, it's awesome just to get it in front of them, and they were able to watch Fist of the North Star as a kid. That's so freaking cool, even if it wasn't all of it, you know, just the fact that it's there, and it got him in early, you know what I mean? I think it's awesome. But yeah, I think MercuryFalcon did a good job here, and it was really interesting. It was nice. Speaking of French, RedAbitbol. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Damn. Compilation skits AMV RedAbitbol number 2, and they did this last year, or a year, at least a year ago. At least according to, like, the upload that I saw, like, next to it. Not the first time they've done this, basically. It's various different shows, One Piece, but also older stuff. There's, like, Aim for the Ace and things, Blackjack. And it's also a mix of like, you know, skits AMV, where I think the skits are obviously more funny and the AMVs are more like kind of tongue in cheek and very fun. And some of these ideas I actually was kind of wishing it was a fully fleshed idea, like the sex and violence song to sex violence, the Imaishi short, I forget what it's called, sex and violence or something. Bits like that, I'm like, oh man, that's a great idea though. Why'd you have, I want to have the full thing of that, damn, or whatever. But I like that it's kind of using it as a way to kind of chew and like, you know, experiment and kind of tease and have fun sort of thing. I mean, I don't know how you're gonna take this if you ever happen to see this, Red. But like some of these would be really nice on like TikTok or something. My one of my mutuals just sent me a TikTok of like a really cool Fooly Cooly AMV, and it was like a 20-second thing. And it was really cool and stuff, and that was doing really well. I don't know if you need. It's like I don't need the audience on TikTok or whatever. I'm just saying this is kind of interesting, and there's also like the YouTube Shorts program too. It's a little weird for some people, but like it was really effective for like YouTube poopers, where it's like, oh, I don't want to make this a whole 4-minute, 3-minute thing, but I have this one joke and that's kind of funny, like a 20-second, 30-second thing or less. It's just kind of cool like that. I don't know. I think that would have fit with this kind of things that you're making here. I'd like to see maybe more regular posts or something like that. I think that'd be kind of cool. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. It was funny, interesting, and a good mix, a surprising mix all the time. I do appreciate the English closed captions. You do turn that on, and it's there. That was great. Thank you for that. Yeah, I liked it. Got a video from Joey, but not the anime man, as in Joey, his second channel. I think he plugged it at one point because I saw Aki had done her house tour. They both moved into a new apartment, and she said, "Oh, Joey's room tour is going to be on his second channel or something." So I was like, "Oh yeah, his second channel." So I checked it out. So subscribe to that. He was saying in that room tour that he's going to try to be a little more active on the second one as sort of a offhand, off the cuff type of thing, and I know that feel. Hell yeah. He's feeling it. So he made this video, A Weeb's Guide to Anime Drip, and it's a sponsor video pretty much. It's just he was sponsored by I think it's Anime F or something. I don't remember. I don't remember the name of it. It's not like I wasn't interested. It's just that like it just feels out of reach for me. I don't. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. It just wasn't something I was like, in the same way. But he's showing off 3 or 4 different fits that they sent him, as well as giving his own little commentary of kind of the difference between anime drip and I think what he called the con, the con look. Like I'm at an anime convention with the big, very obvious anime shirts that a lot of people wear. And nothing wrong with it inherently, but he was like, there's kind of a difference, like the tastefulness of like you can just wear this on the street and no one's gonna be like, oh, anime shirt, you know what I mean? Which I agree with. I think it's really interesting. And there's actually another video I'll talk about later that I thought was really good. It just had more insight and more interesting things to it, but like it also talks about anime merch in the same way and kind of like the subtlety and the making of it, sort of the mentality behind it. But, for this sort of like unscripted video and something different he's doing, I thought it was really interesting. I hope he keeps experimenting, playing with new ideas, and not being afraid to be super candid on I think he seems to be doing pretty well as is. Like, I like the rawness of like, okay, how do I do this transition? Maybe, and like, they did the jump thing, and when they jumped to it, like kind of a Casey Neistat type of thing. I'm like, yeah, and I thought he did a decent present. He's been on camera for a long time, of course, doing videos and stuff, but it's always been very scripted and planned and stuff like that, meticulous, as he's grown as a creator. So he's like, I'm not very used to this kind of thing and whatever. And I'm like, that's really interesting and genuine. Not that his stuff wasn't genuine in the past, but it was very, obviously he's making a video, it's performative, and it's in that, he's been doing this for 8 years now, like 2013 is when he started. So, I get it. Like, you're in you're shifting. It's similar to what Garnt was doing with Ygg and his channel. So it's good to see that they're doing that and kind of feeling out different stuff. I'm not the biggest thrill that it ended up being more of a merch video, like the sponsored video. I was hoping that like he would show off some of his favorite pieces, and he's like, maybe if you want me to see some stuff I own, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I would love that. Just like, you know, give us some comparisons of like, this is a little much, this is interesting right here, this is some things I would do differently. He seemed to have a really interesting fashion sense. There were some points where, you know, I'm not much of a fashion person myself, but I was like, well, I don't see the problem with like having a white undershirt if there's white on the shirt. Like he had the it was a flannel. He's like, I don't know what to call these, like the button down, the check. Like, it was like a checkered pattern and stuff. I'm like, over here we call those flannels. I don't know what they call them elsewhere. Never mind. In the world, you know, just in my state, I don't even know if other states in the United States call it flannels, but at least I know them as flannels. But like the flannel he had like white lettering on one arm and like on the pocket. And I was like, you know, if you had like the t-shirt, like the white underneath that, it kind of complements that. Or maybe, you know, I might not know as much fashion sense as he does, you know, and that's okay. But like observations like that are interesting, you know. No, I thought it was a comfy video in spite of like the initial letdown. Like, oh, it's just yeah, they sent me some stuff and I'm just gonna show it off kind of feel to it. But it didn't. I think it ended up coming out really well. Yeah, I liked it. And this is from Webster University Film Series. They have very few subscribers, and I think they just did like a whole anime, I guess they called it. But they're not really as much into anime per se, but it's a film series, I guess. And it was like a Zoom meeting, I guess, kind of, and they had like a group watch, and it was premiered, and they had like a active chat afterwards, and this is sort of like the upload, I guess. But an interesting thing with this is with Satoshi Kon Paprika, but this is mainly a lecture from Justin Savegas, who's my boss, but also just, you know, presence in the anime industry and anime community, I suppose, you know, because they're intertwined, sort of deal. And you know, if you never heard him on like Ancast or read any of his Answer Man blog columns and stuff, he was with Anime News Network for a long time. I think he helped co-found it. You know, he's been there from the beginning, kind of deal. But you know, he has a lot of insight, a lot of personal experiences. Like he talked about these horror stories about premiering Tokyo Godfathers at New York Comic-Con, and it didn't go well. Not necessarily his fault, but like, you know, he just happened to be there, sort of deal, and it was like, oh, you know, interesting stories like that. It was mostly him talking about Satoshi Kon, and mostly him and his career, and not so much like Paprika itself. But it was really interesting, hearing his insights and things like that. And then the guy afterwards, they had like a Q&A and a lot of banter and stuff, and it was comfy. It was a nice hour. It was like the last thing I watched out of this whole group, and I was like, yeah, that was nice. That was really cool. But like, you know, any instance to hear from my boss, and yeah, I'm not saying because he's my boss, but like I genuinely really like hearing him talk and like hearing his perspective on things, because it's so pragmatic and like he's been there. He was there and has like the full perspective, you know. And while, you know, maybe some of it seeped in whatever, or like maybe there's some bias there or whatever, but like anybody has that, you know. I'm not gonna lay on the guy who's like, whatever, man. Where I think he called like Tokyo Godfathers like rote and standard or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, sure, you know. Yeah, it doesn't have as many like twists or fucking with the audience, but like, sure, you know, yeah, but that, you know, that's neither here. That's like an opinion or whatever. But you know, yeah, I just really like hearing from him in any context, even though I'm not really the biggest Paprika fan, and I guess that's maybe why I like this more, because it wasn't as much about Paprika and I could kind of tune it out. Not like I don't like Paprika, I just like, it just didn't do anything for me. It just kind of came, it was like the last Kon thing I saw after watching all of his other stuff, and I was just like, yeah, that was a thing, I guess. I don't know, I have to watch it again. I probably wasn't in the right mood. I probably was just like watching it. One of those anime where you're like, oh, let's just watch this. Let's just get like get to it, because it was like, yeah, this was my last Cone. I gotta watch all the Cone films, sort of deal. Not like I binged or marathoned them or something, but like I think all the other ones I was in an interesting situation one way or another. And Paprika, I think I just turned it on. So maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset at the time. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. You gotta go check it out if you haven't, if you want to listen to something after Digest, you know. And yeah, we're gonna start what I thought were the best videos of the week, which is, that's about half of them, or something. Yeah. Also a bit of a short video. I always see like the timer on the bottom and was like, yeah, I haven't been talking for very long, huh? But that's okay, because it's like 11 p.m. almost. You know. Gotta edit this tomorrow morning. But the first thing I want to talk about is Super Eyepatch Wolf's video on Mother 3 and how it breaks you. God damn. I just basically, like, you just kind of said the whole game, huh? You know, I'd never really played, I played Earthbound and heard great things about Mother 3. And he did say the similar thing that I said about Ashino Joe, where, like, it's not a game that can really be spoiled by spoilers. Like, it's still an emotionally impactful game. But it did make me be like, yeah, that kind of would have been cool to watch, to see, like, firsthand kind of thing. But I completely get, like, that's the ethos of this video. And it's weird that, like, nobody's made a video on this in this way. Like, you know, Beyond Ghibli had an amazing Mother video. I think it's still a better video than this, just for, like, the uniqueness and the fucking production behind it. Oh my god. But, you know, this was a really good complimentary video to it, too, because, like, you know, they were both using kind of similar footage, and they both mention the fireworks coming out of the box and things like that. But I never learned anything about the plot from Beyond Ghibli's video, but he still managed to really sell Mother 3 in that way. Whereas Super Eyepatch Wolf, I think that it had to very specifically do with the details and having to describe basically the entire game. I guess he doesn't do everything, I suppose, but come on, it kind of gets all the plot points pretty much. It really gives you the whole end game kind of thing, you know. And I'm like, well, yeah, that is pretty cool. It didn't make me like sad in the same way because I didn't experience it firsthand. I don't know if John necessarily managed to make that. You know, like, you know, when you're trying to convey an emotional moment in a video and trying to not replicate it almost, but just kind of communicate it so that you're hoping that it gives you kind of an ounce of that without, like, this was the challenge in my Doremi video, trying to communicate it without just, like, letting it play, you know, or just, yeah, just watch the episode. You know, I can't do it any better than this. So it was hard to, like, find that, like, what's a unique perspective that maybe, like, because I was expecting mostly Doremi fans to be watching this video. And so I'm like, okay, I have to kind of do it in a way that, like, they'd appreciate, as well as maybe someone who hasn't, and be very additive and not just be like, let the show speak for itself. You know, it's good to do that, but it's also just like, then why not just, you know, hard to include that, I guess. I don't know. It's just my thinking about it. No, I think John did a great job here. I think it was a really great video. I also love his humor. I think he's getting funnier and funnier with, like, every video. He's really getting, like, less of a fuck. Something like that. I feel he seems less insecure about, like, making himself look silly. Or, like, I look, and there was, like, I don't know how to end this transition. Cut, future John, cut this out so I don't look like a crazy person. Or something like that, you know? Like, those it's very humanizing, you know? And, yeah, I think he just did a good job here. I think he really was feeling like, yeah, you're getting better at making these, man. Like, hell yeah. Let's fucking go. But I'm surprised that no one's really made, like, maybe I just don't know, a Mother series. Yeah, okay. Maybe I'm just, like, I'm not, like, in the fandom in the same way. Maybe there have been people that have made videos like that about Mother 3 specifically. I feel like it's all Earthbound. But Mother 3, like, yeah. But yeah, hoping for its success. yeah, this is the video I was talking about. How anime merch gets made from Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll loves. I don't know what that is. And they're talking about their various collabs and the three major things in their merch. So basically, their Crunchyroll store. They have a lot of exclusive merch. But what's great is, like, it wasn't just Tim talking the whole time. In fact, he's very much like, I don't know anything about this. Let me pass it to the people who do. And they're like, hi, I'm the director of the marketing, and I'm the director of this and that. I'm chief designer kind of thing. And so that was great to hear from them. And it's good to put faces on that sort of thing and hear from them. I think it's awesome. And their philosophy of, like, how do they choose what merch to get, telling personal anecdotes, like this sleeping Godzilla thing that she liked, but no one else was like, that's gonna sell like crap, and she's like, I don't care. I think it's great. And she's like, I wish we didn't do a limited because that did really well, or whatever. Like personal anecdotes, like that's really cool. I was more interested. I was almost gonna be disappointed in this video because I felt like I wanted to hear, like, how do they get approval? How do they get, like, the license to do this? And she talks about it. It was like, yeah, I call this company, I call this and that, and it was like, hey, we want to do this and this. And then, and they talked about it, not like in very nitty-gritty detail, but in a way that they do let you in a little bit on it. And it wasn't plastic. It wasn't, like, guarded in the same way. I just like the insight. It was really interesting. And then, of course, the bulk of the video is them talking about the designing of these various shirts and their thought process in it. And each one kind of felt they're different in a way. I will say the one weird thing is that, like, the video was sponsored by Adobe of all people. Like, I didn't know Adobe did YouTube sponsorships. Like, okay, sure. But, like, it got more, like, towards the end, they're like, oh man, Illustrator is such a great program for this. Or Photoshop. And like, wow, thanks, Adobe. Like, it got a little obvious. Oh, that was really funny. I didn't mention this with I had watched this video and then Super Eyepatch Wolf's, like, kind of like a video or two after that. And then there was a moment where he's like, I should have made this a sponsorship video. Because he mentions this, like, really this like notebook that he likes to write things in, and he's like, this is great, a great product. I'm not sponsored by them. Fuck, I really should have asked him if I was sponsored. And he was just like, it's like, you feel like the visible disappointment in his face kind of deal. But that was just really funny. Separate thing. No, but yeah, this was really great insight, and it was really cool. I just really liked it. I like this, like, how do you get your own merch kind of deal. And they didn't take, like, the it's illegal or whatever. They didn't even mention that. They were just like, hey, if you have an idea, you just gotta workshop some ideas. I'm not a artist, and, like, the editor, the chief designer was like, I'm not like a painter in the same way. I just take all these references and I'm like, oh, I want to make that and that, and I play a lot. And she was really selling it and making it feel like anybody can do it. And I thought it was a really good way of doing that. I just thought that they did handle that really well. Yeah, I just liked this video a good deal. I thought it was good all over. The Adobe thing was a little shoehorned in. It's like, okay. But otherwise, yeah, it was great. Ygg Studio had another video based upon a Substack article that Beatrice wrote, Anime Fan Trap. And I like these short rumination blogs. And I remember I was, like, reading some of her other blogs too, like about, like, Bo Burnham's Inside and things like that. I think that, like, I really like the blog stuff that Beatrice is doing, honestly. It's nice to see her, like, that's kind of an OG thing for her. And it's nice that, like, Napsy, I think, is able to edit a lot of these, and I think Napsy's doing a good job. But this particular idea of that Beatrice is laying down here is the concept of, like, a lot of anime fans don't have a long shelf life, and a lot of them are attracted to anime because they see something in it that is bigger than them or something they look up to. or a place to fit in, or to discover themselves, and for whatever reason, right? And she's talking about the slow disassociation she's getting, not like from anime as a whole, but just like from having the whole collections and making it her identity. Because it really, like Beatrice like had done other like games and music and stuff, but she for a period she really was like all anime all the time, and I'm kind of like that as well. And I ended up landing it into be able to do something for a living with it, which is lucky as fuck. I'm not gonna like take that as, I'm just lucky. But yeah, like other people, she's just kind of warning us like, not like preachy in a way. It was just a personal rumination. I really liked that about it. I thought one top comment that was like, this doesn't have a lot of nuance, but I appreciate the perspective, and I agree with that. It's like I feel like there's it feels very surface level observation and quick, like didn't think very much on it, and she's just kind of writing as she goes. But like I think it's interesting. I think it's a different idea, and something to consider. I think I also just like the length of these. It's just very appetizer kind of bite-sized sort of thing. I like that from her. I know that like a lot of people were expecting the big analysis, big weighty thing, and I feel like she, I don't speak for her or anything, but like I feel like she did kind of get crushed by those expectations. So like I hope that like this can be kind of like a, just easy, just do an occasional thing, and if you find something to sink your teeth into, just go for it, But like don't feel free to just make these smaller things, and there's just like a 10-minute, like what you said with the AniTuber rant was like 10-minute video for a 2-minute point, right? Making these like as big as they need to be. Also the observation about the otaku room and the personal experience you're having with seeing other otaku rooms on TikTok and things like that. And the difference between like a chaos room and a neat collection and kind of something tasteful, or like organized, I guess. The difference in that is also striking and interesting. Yeah, I mean, some people probably disagree with it, but I just thought it was a very thoughtful perspective, and I put in the best because I'm like, I really like the direction this is going. I like these a lot. So yeah, it was good, very good. Hey, so Cozy's a patron of mine, and he made this video, Chikotan and Japan's Forgotten War, and it's a 15, I don't know how long the short is. He mentions it, and he actually kind of does a unique thing. And he messaged us of like, would I get in trouble if I did this? And I'm like, I mean, you wouldn't get in trouble, but like, the torrent might, or just like, putting too much attention on something on a particular torrent, depending on your audience size. The Cozy, it's probably not that bad. But like, I had a situation with my screen caps video, where I was recommending this particular Discord server, which at the time was open invite, and had such a instant flux of new people, because like I have 10,000 people subscribed to me, and like over 1,000 people, like at least right now, a long time since it's come out, but like maybe 2,000 to 3,000 people watched it very immediately, and that is a lot. It's not a lot in YouTube terms, but like physically a lot of people. So like they got really overwhelmed and they had to shut it down, and I didn't tell them that I'd leave a link in the description or thing, and that wasn't very cool of me. So it's like, you kind of have to be aware of that. Be aware of the size of your audience if you're going to direct someone to something, that it might get too out of control, That'd be the only concern, really. But this is like a short, and I don't want to spoil it. Like he pretty much tells the whole thing, describes it pretty much the entire way, and then gives kind of the, there's a big twist at the end, and it's related to a real life Japan issue at the time that this was made, and I like that he went into the detail of that and the kind of the resolution of that and how this kind of helped contribute to it a little bit. This reminded me the most of what Gil was making with Oron, and his Oron and AniTube discourse video, as well as the Midori Days video. Like the essay videos he's made, basically, all of them kind of have related to their relationship to a real life Japanese cultural thing. I was gonna say issue, but like, yeah, it's a thing. It's a subject matter. It's not necessarily an issue, inherently. In this particular case, it's an issue. In this video here, and I won't spoil what it is. I only had so much time and sort of thing, so I didn't go watch the short verse, but I am very interested in it. And I'm putting it in best because it's just like, it was just, again, I really like the length. I think you were very concise. I love the subject matter. I think it was really interesting and fresh. And I like that you really went the miles to like show that this data of this issue. And as well as like showing other series that were addressing it. And it's like, oh yeah, that's interesting. That I never thought of that. So I thought it was a really great video overall. Yeah, really nice. I'm not sure how I found this. But this is the first time I think I'm talking about Doc Broxxi. Samurai Champloo, another Doc Broxxi mistake, and anime review. He's kind of a Demolition D clone, but that's okay in this instance. Because, man, he has such a presence to him. I really like the energy he's having and the really leaning into this kind of character that, with his avatar and things like that. And the end card was really cool. But, like, the very casual. It's like you're in, like, his room. Not like his room, but, like, on a porch. Like at his house. And you're at, like, a porch. And you're just, like, sitting on the couch in the porch. I know it's very specific, detailed picture I'm picking right here. But, like, and you're just chilling. And he's talking to you about Samurai Champloo. And it's like, yeah, it's an anime review, whatever. But, like, the way he tells you who Gene and... I forgot the other guy's name. I'm not the biggest Samurai Champloo fan, to be honest. Like, I liked it. But, like, how is it that, like, it's the vibe of this show. Again, he's adapting, the aura the show has with the DJ freezes and scratches and rewinds and stuff. He does that very often in this video, but there's a lot of like YouTube poopy type of things, like not like gag stuff, but it was just like a lot of reference material and very similar to Demolition D. But it just had a really cool dad energy to it, a swagger. I just like the energy here. It did feel like a Demolition D video in the good way, not like in a copycat clone way, but it was just like, I've been wanting this type of thing. It's a great video. I was, it gets a little like, it like veers on the edge sometimes. Like it's not like banger, banger, banger the whole time. It's very like, okay, where are we going with this? And we're like, oh, I don't know. But I was like saying out loud towards the end, I'm like, I'm loving this. I'm loving the feel. I'm loving the humor, the detail. But like, no, what I was gonna say was like the way he introduces Jin and the other guy. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. With like the Adult Swim type of thing, with like a lot of their dialogue integrated and edited in such a way that feels like a Toonami bumper. But that's how he introduces them in not just like, he's a samurai, the blah blah blah, and blah blah blah, and like a script. Like I'm not into synopsis anymore. Don't give me the synopsis of your show, please. If you need to, fine, give the context for the scene or something. But like, you don't need to. You know what I mean? Especially for such high profile stuff comparatively, like Samurai Champloo. You probably don't have to. But like, yeah, it's an anime review. It is what it is. But like, it's just the craft here and the energy and the personality on display. I thought it just kicked ass. I thought it was great. And last but not least, it's difficult to like keep heaping loads of praise onto pause and select. Anime's media mix, how franchises become narratives. Oh man, this is so interesting. It's one of his like interview videos like he's done in the past, but now he's introducing his all the skills he's been developing over the past few months. He's been doing his animations, he's been doing his skits, the in-person thing. I really like the way he handled the post-editing thing where he realized that he didn't quite explain why he's using these two series as the main examples, that being Haruhi and SDP Psycho. It was a manga I'd never heard of. It was interesting in the media mix is like, I always thought media mix was like, oh, you're just doing different mediums and stuff. So it's like there's a light novel, anime, game, blah, blah, blah. They're different mediums. Whereas SDP Psycho seemed just like a manga. But in reality, it's really like a lot of different manga, and there's fake versions and real versions, and there's a lot of manipulation going on. It's kind of fucky. It's kind of fucky. And that fuckiness, and even, you know, talking with Haruhi with like the different orders and the light novel, and the reason it's special in the media mix is that, like, so media mixes is just the idea. I don't feel like, you know, I'm not going to explain the whole video, but like, think of Star Wars and how the franchise is the world of Star Wars, and there's all these different entries in a timeline, or maybe not in a timeline, that's like added it, that are taking place in the universe of Star Wars. So the world is the selling point. But Haruhi switched the dynamic to make it more character focused. So you want to see the character in all these different situations, and not the world in the same way. So I don't think he really mentions it in this video, but my thinking was Fate. You know, you think of the Fate franchise, and you're seeing Saber and all these different, and so Saber is the central focal point sort of deal, or, you know, the characters basically. In SDP Psycho, I took it as the narrative is just kind of doing fucky wucky things that like it was really addressing. I don't know why, but like, so I'm not gonna mention in Digest. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I saw that What the What and Vindy put out an episode of their podcast where they talked about explanation points. Should I ignore can I just ignore a bad second season video, which I gave a not good to a while back, and they tore it to shreds. So I was just like, had that video in my mind as I was watching this, and then Joe was like, you know, if you ever just like, just want to watch the anime, just like realize it's not just the anime. You're not watching this in isolation. It wasn't made for that. It was made to be in conjunction with the other things it's taking from, adapting, or what would make around it, you know, surrounding it, the supplementary material. Like I was thinking Kingdom Hearts, where you have to play all these different games in whatever order, and, you know, that could be to its detriment for some people. Where it's like, I have to do all this, you know, it's so hard to keep track of where's the end, you know. I'd say where the entry point is with like, but I imagine it's Kingdom Hearts 1, right? It's probably not. It's probably not. Yeah, but like, similar deal with like a lot of different things to experience in order to gain the whole narrative, and, you know, that's part of the narrative itself, and just something additive to it. So just something really interesting, I thought, you know, from this video, and of course with all of Joe's incredible polish and Skrulls' great music. Hell yeah. I really enjoyed this video, and looking forward to part 2. I was really sick. And yeah, that'll do it for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, including Austin, Boo, Kuiper, My Anime Pod, Najbeb, Nicholas, Saxon, Unique Namosaurus, Victor, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.